stand in the call, hoping you would call back, knowing that someday I'll come to that light, see you all right.
Well, welcome to another episode of Valhalla TV. We are here in Osseo, Wisconsin with the Mystic Sisters, Tamara and Dawnette. And I got your name right today.
Yay!
Is that good? First, we'd like to give a big shout out to Alex and Cora from Wax 104.5 for having us on the air this morning.
Yeah, fun.
It was a great experience, and we were having a little conversation here before we went on about I went to a show on Monday called Bass Nectar, and I met a very interesting person who gave me the word bonkers. So that's going to be our word of the day. Go bonkers, have fun with life. So we're all feeling a little bonkers today.
Yeah.
We've been up a little early, and we're going to talk a little bit about ghosts and paranormal things today, since it is around the Halloween. I know Halloween's over, but it's never too late to talk about that. And specifically, the Levis area, which we've talked about before. Any one of you want to share any stories first?
Ooh,
it could be a story of your own or one that's been told to you.
Oh, boy. Where do we start? Well, I told you a little bit about my Bigfoot experience out there.
Yeah.
Being 11 years old, that's a time where young girls and sometimes young boys, depending on when they're puberty, I'm
That's
bonkers.
a word.
That's a bonkers word.
Depending on when they're going through puberty. It was early this morning.
Puberty.
That 11, 12 age. Their minds open up, they're kind of coming from the spirit world into the very solid, adult world that isn't always so fun. Mm-hmm. And bringing your consciousness up to that, I saw something between the veil and the earth world of a creature. And, it took me a long time to get over the fear of it. And it took hypnosis to tap me into understanding that it actually is a guide that was there for me. And, woo-woo, bonkers, I've connected with that guide. Yeah. And it's a nature spirit, if you will. And it's not like we have conversations every day, but there are times in life where I need to tap into that energy. So that's part of my ghost story.
That's interesting, because that's about the age I was. I mean, I was seeing spirits and things before that, but when I saw the UFO out in our favorite portal, which is Levis, seeing it in the sky, it was many years later that I realized I saw it first and brought it to people's awareness or consciousness, pointing up like, what is that? And then what are you seeing? And bringing them through that. And I think that's kind of what we still do.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's to us, it's just like you don't see that, but once you open the veil, it's hard to go back, which is a good thing, we believe.
Yeah. Oh, in the Levis area too. Like, I've talked to so many people playing in the bars around there and stuff that have saw like a Bigfoot type creature. There was one night in the bar, I was talking to someone, and like, you got to listen to the sound on my phone. Like, it was just like this, like just nothing we've heard before. He said he was out back behind, kind of over the hill past my house, hunting, and there was a cornfield, and they seen something like going through the cornfield. So they shine a light on it, and there's like this tall, he said, like monkey ape-like creature there, and it was just giving out this roar. And many hunters I've talked to have seen stuff like that. I had an experience of my own where I was just over the hill from my house. I was down doing meditation in the woods, and then I decided to go back up the hill because it's a really steep area, and I decided to go up the hill, and as I'm looking up the hill, I see like this little like monkey like creature, it looked like to me, with like glowing eyes. And I'm like, what is that? And I tried to creep closer and closer, and then I lost vision of it, and all of a sudden I start heading up the hill, and I see that it's like right up there on the hill, and I had my camera with me, and I was able to snap a picture and get a short video of it. Everyone who sees it has their own interpretation. They're either like, oh, it was a stump, or it was a wolf, or it was this, but it's really, it almost looked, it wasn't like it was real there, but it was like it was phasing in and out of something.
In and out of the dimension.
Yeah, and you could see that on the video, and I was so scared. I sat down on the bottom of that hill for an hour and a half before venturing back up, and that was one of my experiences where, with the paranormal, that was really kind of like, all right, there is another dimension and this veil that sometimes we pop through.
What year was that, Brian?
I want to say it was like 2009, maybe. Yeah.
Okay. Right around that time, 2010, 11, 12, we had several people report of seeing that. And then it kind of closed off, where we didn't get any reports. And just recently we've been getting more people of hearing or, kind of garbled sounds. And, the work we've done is we've been told that they're water spirits. And they've always been here. We're just seeing in between their realm. And that's when we learn how to sage and clear an energy field, because they can... Because their vibration, they can kind of stir up your vibration in a not so pleasant way. So old fears and things is what we've been told. So really being mindful of, if you have experience of like that in nature, to just pray and bless and honor that space, honor that land, because it's clearly a portal. You have your little studio parked right on. So.
Right, and we've seen footage of that, and if it's a stump, well, that stump turned its head and looked directly at you.
Well, and we've seen the footage. There's clearly a face.
we will probably get it up on the Valhalla YouTube channel, so you guys can be like, oh, that's this or that. Give us your opinion, whatever it is. It's your truth, And but we talk about the water spirits, like that possibly could be something like that. But that's also like people say they see shadow people. That's along the same lines, isn't it? Like that darker, where it's a fear-based thing, where a lot of times you're in inner turmoil yourself when those things come out, because they
project.
They
project
they can feed off it almost.
Well, and that's just it. Just because we happen to see through the veils of this fabric and dimensions, that doesn't mean we know everything there is to know.
Yeah.
And I think the elders have helped us a lot. Excuse me. Explaining that you are on one of these portals and sage, and you don't want to bring them home with you. It's kind of like you don't want a bunch of spiders in your car. know, it's not good nor bad. It just is. It's just you stay in your dimension, I'll stay in mine. We'll all get along. And I think they are just as shocked to be in ours as
they're just as afraid
just
of
as,
us as we are of
as
them.
Curious to what we are. Another thing that continues to be reported to us is people seeing these interdimensional critters, as we call them, spiders, beetles, large, just like scampering across their ceiling, and they realize there's no big beetles or spiders that large, and then they kind of snap out of it. But as the veil's thin, as it has been prophesized, that people are going to start waking up, because it's hard to go back. Like I said, when you've seen through this dimension. And you know what you saw. Nobody has to tell you how crazy you are. You don't even care about that, because you know what you saw. And I think we're all learning together how to, kind of process this. Although it happened, over 30 years ago for Dawnette and I, because of the location we grew up in. I think as these, as the veil's thin, more people are going to start seeing these things. And then they're going to come to us and think we're not so crazy.
And they're not the same as like a ghost. Like people think of ghosts as, a person who's passed on that's lived here and come back. What I've heard, when we've talked to the elders, is that it's a different type of being. It's neither good or bad, but it's a different type of conscious being. And with everything in nature, and the trees, the grass, every living thing has a consciousness to it, and sometimes you can tap in and it'll express itself.
And I think it's important to understand, when discerning of spirits or discerning of this dimension, to realize that it is important, just like there's good people in the world and not so good people in a lower vibration. These dimensional beings, it's the same thing. If they're in a state of fear, it's nothing we should fear, and that's just it. Understanding to raise your vibe and clear your own energies, and not support the gremlins within, you know, of thinking this is anything to fear, because it's always been there.
Yeah.
It always will be.
Yeah.
Well, with what I seen too, it looked like it wasn't aware I was there, and then it caught that me and my cousin were there. And so was it my fear projected towards it, or its fear projected towards me? And it was that same type of thing with the glowing eyes, where it was looking into a dark, wooded forest. And so when it was looking in, did it need almost like an infrared, type of vision to look in there? So when it looked back at us, it had red eyes, is what we picked up on, where my cousin said it was crying. Well, she was a little younger, so did she think that the emotion of fear would make you cry, or what was that? But years later, when the movie Predator came out, then that's what I thought, what the hell are you? What the hell are you? I mean, you wonder if it wasn't projecting the same type of fear. And then, as I said, as I connected with it, real or imagined, in my psyche, it was very much a protector to protect the earth and to protect us who walk upon the earth. So that took a little of the fear away, and maybe it was my subconscious needing to quiet my fears. But
And maybe that's why these things seem scary to us, because we are, destroying the earth.
Right.
I mean, what we are doing isn't sustainable. And I don't want to get into the politics of all of that, but what we're doing isn't sustainable. So you would imagine like spirits of the earth that are so connected and intertwined in that consciousness are fearful of us because of...
Well, if we shook them out of their dimension, I get it.
And I guess I believe, too, through the communication that I've had, that higher power that we call God is taking care of all of us.
Yes.
And so...
Something needs to shift.
Well, the mission I've been on maybe came in turn, I believe, because of that encounter, because that's what set me in search.
Yeah, well, that was the same with me. Like, I had experiences as a kid of, like dark shadows in the hallway and stuff like that I was so afraid of. And as I grew, in my dreams, I would have it. And after that situation, you guys gave me a lot of advice on, saging and stating your power. I mean, that's... People put power into their belief systems and stuff, and you need to take that power and be like, no, you cannot affect me.
To
You
set
have
an
no
intention.
power over
To
me.
set an intention, and that's just it. And I mean,
Because the fear just feeds it, right?
Well, we are thought and vibration, and that's why we don't want to get all fear-based with thinking, oh, our water is going to be destroyed and we're destroying the planet. That's not proactive.
Yeah.
But realizing that we are a frequency, and that it's like, thank you for waking us up. We see you there. Now let's see what we can do to, change the vibration.
Yep. Bring
so.
us back in alignment.
Right.
Well, and like you said,
Understanding.
something different needs to shift in a cleaner, higher vibrational energy. I don't know what that is. But I'm going to pray for the people that, know how to put it together, raise the vibration and trust, and set the intention that we are going to survive, and
We were just told this last week, too, by an elder who had told us that it was shared with her that the earth will survive. It's up to mankind and womankind to decide whether or not we would like to be here.
Yep.
The earth will be here when we're gone.
Yep.
So, where do we want to be in that scenario? So it is time to wake up.
Yep. Well, they've talked about, you get the ancient alien theories of people where, they're starting to find evidence. You look at the pyramids all over the world, that they're all over the world, but they've got the same symbols, the same formations. So, and they're finding that these people were more advanced than we once thought. So maybe we've already went through that process of what we're going through now and almost destroyed ourselves, and now here's our chance to wake up and take responsibility. Each one of us, that's what it takes, is
Right.
take responsibility for ourselves. Don't be looking out to, someone else to be your leader, to guide you through this.
Or to blame.
And
Or
that
to blame
gets
it.
Or to blame, yeah.
that gets into the whole, the Wizard of Oz, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Nobody should judge and point and put anybody above themselves of what they're to put in the world.
Yeah.
And, yes, these portals and these pyramids and these sacred sites that the ancient ones knew to mark, and they say they're from anything from calendars to star grids to, everything we need right now. And we know a lot of researchers that are working feverishly to try to open up, to unlock those secrets.
Yeah.
Excuse me, from Egyptologists to our friend Jim Shears. It's exciting. I think, and with the World Wide Web, people are looking, you have it at your fingertips. You can start, if you get a inspiration from creator to go look at what could this sacred symbol mean, or, because there's a lot of sacred geometry and symbolism that, they built into stone. So it's exciting to see what kind of times we're in, and
Yeah.
this crazy stuff has been part of our awareness because it was, in a sense, forced upon us since childhood. So it does kind of feel like it's all starting to make a little bit more sense that, yes, there has been a purpose for all of this. And us, like many, many, many others that have been able to see through this veil, that no, we're not crazy. It's we're not going to force anybody to get it before their time to get it. But there's
And
a
what is there
very
to
cosmic
get?
universe. Exactly.
What is there to get? Because we've been told too, and this makes so much sense, that life is a circle in a circle in a circle in a circle. And are we ever going to have our aha moment of, oh, this is all enlightenment.
This is
it. Now I know all the
No.
secrets to the universe. Well,
Well,
it's been lifetimes, and we haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah.
So I think
Right.
that's part of the mystery and part of the beauty of it all.
And
of
we're
the
learning
mystery.
along the
We
way.
are.
Right. While learning about our own soul's growth and development, realizing, first of all, there's no death, because we see through, that's another dimensional thing beyond that. And we know that it doesn't mean we don't grieve. That doesn't mean we don't get freaked out when new stuff comes into our awareness that we weren't aware of before. But to assist others to know that, no, you're not making it up.
Yeah.
Others see through this veil. And what does it mean to you? Because it is a personal journey.
You got to take on your own truth.
It is a true personal journey. And at the end of the day, we can, point fingers and say who we want to vote for, who's doing something wrong, who's doing something right. But it's all intention and vibration and thought and consciousness. So in no way do we think we're right or wrong. It just is.
Yeah.
This has just been brought into our awareness.
It's our observations, and whether you think we're bonkers or not, either you're bonkers or we're all bonkers.
Yeah.
And we've had fun with that word today, because none of us truly do know all of the
And you
answers.
feel
And if anybody
bonkers.
tells you they do,
Right.
I'd be a little
They might
worried
be
about.
feeding you with BS.
They
Yeah.
might
Right.
just be.
Well, and that's jokingly on Wax Radio this morning. He's like, who's going to win, the Cubbies? I'm like, yes, the Cubbies. Why? Because that makes me feel good.
Yeah.
I mean, to think of, our neighboring state here and how exciting that would be. Have I tuned into it? No.
Yeah.
Does it matter at the end of the day? Probably not. But it's fun. People are looking for that community, that sense of, togetherness. And I think through sports, it's I know you're not a big sports fan, but I think through sports, it is very, people are aware of that community. They miss
Yeah.
that community and camaraderie. And, our tribe of people that do this kind of research all over the world, it is a sense of community. And, but everybody we can only research so much, so we talk to our other research friends that research a little bit more. And, so it is fun in the month of October for us. We've been able to hook up with all of our super bonkers friends and to see, what's happening. And, because they're kind of the people that people go to, the go-to people for this kind of craziness. I shouldn't, disgrace it and say it's craziness, because it isn't.
But people from the outside look at that.
It's scary or weird, and it's very natural. You just got to see it for the first time.
Yep, and it is good to get other people's input, because we all have our ideas, or our dogmatic ideas on what things could be. And I know when I was starting to go through that transformation of stuff, because I've had people come to me my whole life, and I saw things, and my mom's like, "It's your imagination." And then
I know my mom said that too. I was so grateful at the time for that.
And as I grew older and I started to own that, I mean, it was great to sit down, because we've had some pretty good conversations about all this, where like I've even been like, "Oh yeah, whatever." But I want to start talking.
We know.
I know. And I've come around finally. But I wanted to talk about another phenomenon that a lot of people have seen in the Levis area, which is orbs. And I have some pictures, but I don't have permission to share them yet. But on a trail cam, there's like 6 orbs out in this field that they've seen. And we were close to the area once on an investigation with a native elder. And that whole night when we were out in those woods, I mean, you remember just like all the orbs and stuff that were coming around, flying. I saw them, like, we woke up in the middle of the night and like, what is all that in the woods? It just looks like, starlight all over. And
excuse me, I was just going to say, I know a lot of our paranormal research friends are rolling their eyes right now, because they think of orbs showing up in photography.
Yeah, people taking pictures of dust.
These are these are glowing, illuminated orbs of light
that
in the
people
woods.
see with their naked eyes, not
Thank
taking
you.
a picture with your flash and then because if you take a picture with your flash, this is, a lot of people mistake it for orbs. You take a picture with your flash at night, any water particle or any particle of dust is going to reflect back and create an orb. There's other types of orbs that you can take with non-flash that will sometimes show up, and they'll show up in all kinds of shapes. But these, we're talking about actual, it looks like physical, more than one person is seeing it. It's not in a camera. We've seen small ones. We've also seen one night, it was like July 21st, I think, of 2 years ago. And I went outside to go to the studio, and I was like, oh, the northern lights are beautiful tonight. So we get the whole family, we go out and we lay in the lawn, and we're looking at these lights, and all of a sudden, in one area of the sky, it just starts swirling. It looked like all the energy was like just coming to that point in the sky. And also like it opened up black in the middle, and we see this little light. Like it starts coming out, this green light, and it looks like it shoots like a beam, and everything around it just disappears, and this light, just this illuminated light, just glowing, went from south to north. I had my camera out there. My son had his iPhone, and we all tried to film and watch this thing, and none of our electronics would work to get it. And it was like so, and all of the kids saw it, and we saw numerous things like that.
Well, with that growing up too, we'd seen what almost looked like the Aurora Borealis on the ground, spook lights and things. When you're on a portal, you just never know what you're going to see. It's energy. You kind of, although it was terrifying as a children, now I look back at it as, wow, I wish I was there now.
Yeah.
Well,
because it's like you're looking through a window.
Right. And it almost looked like, the whole hillside was on fire. It looked like the whole side of the hill was ablaze. And I remember some of the adults going over to check it out because they thought the barn was on fire or something had to have been. And that was down, from where we discussed earlier, seeing the Bigfoot creature. And, they'd get down there and it was dark. There was nothing there once they were at the point of where they felt it had happened. And so what was that?
Yep.
Wow.
And I want to...
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to say, too, we're talking about this phenomenon, and a lot of people want to say, well, it's either ghosts or it's aliens or it's that. It could be just the electromagnetics reacting with something and creating that. Because whatever we saw, I can't say that it wasn't ball lightning or something like that, but the way it moved with like a conscious movement, it wasn't just like boom, something going.
Movement.
Something intelligent in there. So we're not going to try to say this is what it is, but just to know the phenomenon.
There's so much light pollution now you know, for us to actually see the night sky the way, you know, our ancestors did. It's completely different.
Yeah.
And you know, they were just trying to survive. They didn't have time to sit down and really document a lot of this. So, you know, there were, you know, hundreds and hundreds, thousands of years ago experiences, but you know, they were just trying to get their corn out of the out of the field. So they really didn't take time to note that. But I know we've spent time in Canada, and you can really see a lot of different lights in the sky. And very quick, people will say, "Oh, they're satellites," and no, you know, there's something more to that. But a lot of that is because of the elimination of the light pollution.
Yeah.
You know, you're able to really see a lot more.
Well, that's where
out
we're
there.
at in the Levis area. We're pretty
Right.
Yeah, that was our
sheltered from a lot of that.
childhood. Yes.
And like I have musicians that come and stay, you know, very often out there from like California or Chicago, and like they look to the sky like I've never seen this ever in my life. And I think people are missing out on that. I mean, I think
most definitely.
we should encourage people to go out in the countryside and just look up, you know.
Well,
you're
that's-
going to see stuff. I mean, if you watch long enough, you're going to see some stuff, and you're going to be like, that's some crazy crap. And,
Well, and I think that's
bonkers.
I think you hit the nail on the head. People are disconnected with nature. Period. I think we're all guilty of it. We're indoors, and we wonder why our children are depressed, or you know, there's just too much, you know, energy from other sources when there's so many incredible vibrational fields to tap into, connect with your soul, your essence. And so, like I said, when we started doing this work, our shaman friends said, you need to get out there, you know, to certain sacred sites that their ancestors knew to be high vibrational, and go out there and pray. And so, because they believe the veil of the spirit world in our world is very thin there, so answers can be manifested very quickly. And so we've been doing that all over the country, and kind of opening up this awareness to people that, you know, go to these places that the people that were here before us knew to be very, very sacred sites. They felt the energy of these spaces. Go there and just ask for what it is you need. And, you know, ask, believe, and receive. And it's really opened our eyes and awareness to so many things, and we hope it can for you too. Because what is this about? It's about your soul development. We can't do it for you. We could just give you, you know, some things, some tools, techniques that have worked for us. But we're a work in progress, or we wouldn't be sitting here breathing. We'd be, you know,
and we must think, you know, we're obviously very narcissistic if we think that we are the only people in this galaxy, in this, you know, I mean, come on. There is a whole world that, you know, has not been even thought about. You know, that's science. That's not what we necessarily, you know, science of the mind. But, you know, it's not our job this lifetime to get involved in all of that. Thankfully, there are other people that really dive into that.
Everybody has a gift to give to the world, to contribute. And that's why I think it's just those places going to find, you know, to talk to Creator directly, to talk to your inner self directly, and ask yourself, what is it I need? Show me the way, and raise your vibe to get into a higher vibration of faith and direction.
Spirit-led adventures.
Exactly.
I mean,
Life should be
spirit-led
fun, and it
adventures.
isn't always. But to get back the faith, I think people have lost that sense of magic.
Yep.
You know, spirit is magical and amazing, and can, you know, create miracles in an instant. So when people, you know, go on these pilgrimages, we call them spirit-led adventures, but they're pilgrimages. This isn't a new concept, you know, of going to find Creator or to find your soul's purpose and path. So it's fun, you know. It's like, because once you see through the veil, you don't go back.
Yeah.
You realize that you are a big, you know, you matter. You know, if all this other stuff is in the world, you matter. And what can you contribute to the world? Because nobody can do it like you. You know, nobody can do it. There might be, you know, many musicians, Brian, but nobody can do it and deliver it just like you.
Like, I like the quote, you be yourself because everyone's already taken.
Exactly. You were born with purpose, and however you can gift that to the world, you know. Yeah.
So we're
Yeah, we're kind of running out of time here, but
Even if you're
we've got all the time
bonkers.
because even if you're bonkers. So,
Yes.
if you guys have any pictures out there or video of any paranormal things you've seen in the Levis area or your own home, have any
Or in
questions,
Trempealeau County
or
in
Trempealeau
general.
County, Jackson County in general, you can send them to the Valhalla TV the Valhalla. Yeah, Facebook page. That'd be the best place to send them in a message, or just message Tammy, Dawn, or myself. And we'd love to get it up, discuss this a little more. If there's anything you want us to discuss on this program, please shoot us a message too. We'll do the best to answer your questions. And remember to go bonkers today. Be a little goofy. Have a little fun. Love you guys. Peace, love, and light.
Happy All Souls Day.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Hey there, Adeline, did you hear the voice calling? Just a step in time. Before now, I never heard them calling. Now I'm deep, deeper than I should be. And then we crossed in time. I said if I'd gone blind,